Testing. Testing. Here, it's Friday. We're at high of week. This big leg up. So I want to target a run against anybody trying to chase this long. These are the TGIF Friday levels, 20% retracement of the range, and then 30% here in the orange. So this is like my best case scenario. This is the new day opening gap. Went to the midpoint immediately. There's medium impact news at 10 o'clock today, and Trump is speaking at 3. So I hope that the medium impact shouldn't affect the market, but Trump speaking is labeled as medium impact, but a lot of the time, if he has a speech, they'll use that as an excuse to hold the market in a range. I hope that that doesn't happen today. I don't think it will because they've already done that so much this week, and overnight session was pretty well in range market here. So I'd like to see a run. So we just swept these internal highs, went to this fair value gap, the low of the order block, trading up into these wicks. Seems like it wants to run lower. This is a sweep, and then it went to the midpoint with those two wicks, and then came back down again. The sell side's right here. I get in at the midpoint of the new day opening gap, targeting the sell side. Stop above this wick. Really, it could just be above the midpoint of that wick. Well, it didn't end up filling me. I got about 2 ticks away. I'm gonna go ahead and cancel it. 2 ticks away from my entry there, and then went into Excel side. Uh, really like the idea of going lower. I just wait for some sort of entry. This is first presented fair value gap. Hmm. Running really nicely. It kind of sucks it didn't fill me. It got so close. Hmm. Side right or sell side right there. What a beautiful run. I don't think it's gonna offer an entry. It's just gonna go. When it was here, I was thinking, I didn't say it, but I was thinking, that this bull flag here, they tripped it pre-market right here and then came back down. So because they already swept out these highs here with this move, I thought that it was possible it does not come up to this high and that it just go to the fair value gap here and sweep out these little internal highs here. That's what it did. And then after it ran, I guess it gave you two wicks here, two wicks. And then this third candle came up to the midpoint of them. I typically don't take trades like 2 minutes into market open. So that's why I didn't feel comfortable getting in here. But realistically, that's a really good entry because it showed you twice that it stabbed up here and then came back down. So whenever it reaches into those wicks a third time, that's a nice place to go ahead and get in and just trust it's not going to take this high. This would have been a really good entry too. It just didn't fill me. So I went and took these London lows here. Just tipped them a little bit. Now it's coming back up into the range. I like the idea of it using first presented to go even lower. It still has the sell side right there. I don't know why it won't. Let's zoom into it. Magnet onto there. That's some encouragement of the first presented. See, this third candle went to the exact midpoint of this wick. Lower. Dang, that's twice. It got 2 ticks away from filling me again, and then went lower. It could still come up. That's my fill. Went to the upper quadrant of the new day opening cap. Nice. That's a really nice reaction. So it took out this high. If I look at a 5-second chart, that's a swing high on a 5-second, and it went and tipped that, reached for the upper quadrant of the new day opening gap, and then closed way below the first presented. So it closed at the high and went to the high of the new day opening gap, closed above the midpoint, which isn't preferable. My stop is above the midpoint of these wicks. Dang, it might come stop me out. It might want to take high of day here. Wasn't really expecting a run back up into this range. So it tips this wicks high right there. So that's my stop out. That was a $60 loss. So I want to wait for it to tip high of day. ES still has the sell side, so I still want to be bearish. Just macro. So they took high a day. Now, so to figure out, does it want to take this pre-market high here, or is it going to just hold the order block? All the order blocks, swap the highs there. Interesting. There's an inversion here. Potential inversion. Dang, it's snapping back down real fast. unfortunate. Tipped the high there. Hopefully, I can snag a retracement up into this daily order block. That's my fill. Use the first presented again here as discount. My stop's above this high because if it takes that high out, it's probably going to go take this one too. This is tricky. Hey, that's my second stop out. So down 120. That was a $50 loss. That's annoying. This type of movement is really tricky. Wow, look at that. It's being really, really, really tricky. It's annoying. I mean, it's really tipped me out, like just barely stopped me out twice, and then it runs the other direction. It didn't even close above this high, it just wicked above it. I guess there's these little equal highs here. I don't know. That's changing the state right there. It's so frustrating that it banged me up in here because I'm still thinking about getting back in, but I have to get so much more profit now to be able to be profitable today. It's really frustrating. I really think it's going to go lower. So annoying that it. Oh wow, look at that. Maybe Trump speaking today is going to fuck up the market. Because so far, this has been absolutely misbehaving. That snap back up like that is what is supposed to be happening. They're really they're taking both sides of the market. Whenever there's huge candles like that and it is making it really obvious what the direction it's going to going, but then it literally in 2 seconds snaps all the way back up, uh, that's highly manipulated. Because now they're going to go take anybody that saw that red candle there that was chasing it short, they're going to go take their stops now. They probably have already taken a lot of them because of how quickly they snapped it up and how much range that that whenever it was in the red, that candle, it was a really, really large range. A lot of people were probably feeling comfortable shorting it below that low with a stop inside the range here. There's equal highs here. It's honestly a pretty small. I've taken 2 losses, but it's pretty small. Because the usually I'll risk $100 per trade, and I'm down 120 on 2 losses. So both those losses were pretty small, but it's really annoying how it's behaving today. Honestly, so far anyway. It could be that the medium impact is at 10. It could be that it's gonna do this up until 10, and then at 10 o'clock they'll let go of it, and then we'll see the run. It would make sense if they held it up here at the highs at the beginning of the morning session before sending it lower, because all that's going to do is trip more people going along. Yeah, this little bull flag forming here. So I'd like to see that uh, tripped. I want to see the highs of that tripped. And then somewhere up here, I'd like to look for another short. And it tipping these lows right here is not sufficient. Uh, they didn't really. I mean, they took all the liquidity in here, but just looking at this liquidity pool, they didn't really take a lot of it. So I think it'll come back down there again and put bodies deep through this level. Honestly, I really think these are pretty reasonable for today. I think it's just waiting for 10 o'clock. I think 10 o'clock will send it higher, tripping this bull flag, and then that'll be the short to go lower. And taking anybody shorting early, because it'll probably take this high too. So anybody shorting off this move lower, that would be kind of the last area where people would have stop losses. They've taken the majority of shorts, stop losses, but a run up above this bull flag would trip in longs, creating sell side down here, and then it would take the last of those uh, short sellers out. It'll do it at 10. Hmm. It's tempting to go long to target these highs and then flip it short to come back down. So I feel pretty confident they'll come up here with the 10 o'clock news. Just trips sell orders and it's trading at a discount. I don't know why this is like this UI here is broken, but it seems to be. Wanted to try using the trading view kind of buy and sell buttons here. Usually I'll use my actual platform for that, but I'm getting in below the first presented. This candle came in and swept this low out, and then it was kind of holding. It came back up. I was holding above these lows, so I figured that's a sweep, and it's going to run the buy side here. So I have a stop below this low, below the midpoint of this wick. It's annoying me that this box is here. It's like orange box. It needs to go away. I don't know why that's like that. Like, what am I looking at right here? This is so weird. Went away. Okay. All right. So at this point, it needs to go. So I'm going to go to break even. Fail to modify order. Excuse me. Why? All right. So I'm at break even. I don't know why that's so jank. But with the displacement up above first presented, I don't want it to come back into the lower half. It needs to just go. So break even should be very safe. And if it isn't, then I don't want to be in it anymore. It just needs to run for my target. Immediate rebalance, consequence encroachment of that first presented. And it snapped off it. This next candle needs to run higher. Needs to go higher right now. 5 minute candle is just about to open. There you go. Check ES, see what it's doing. Tripped these highs. It really should run the buy side. It really should. Also watching a 5 second chart. I'm gonna lock in some and demand that it keeps going. Come on. I might get tipped here on that lower stop. All right. So I got stopped there for a $70 profit. So now I'm down $50 on the day. So I was able to mitigate a lot of that loss. And so now, when we tip these highs, I like to flip short. This order block would have been a really nice place to get out for like a low-hanging fruit objective, uh, because it would make sense that there's a little bit of like that this would be a speed bump. I wish trading this UI on the trading view platform wasn't so janky, because I pressed the buy button, got in at market down here, and then I dragged the stop down and it was all buggy. And then whenever I wanted to mitigate my risk, it wouldn't let me adjust the stop. So I had to place a completely separate order and then cancel the other order. And I don't know why that's so jank. Maybe I shouldn't drag it if I want to use this. Maybe I should just like click this button here and then do the stop and limit that way. It's nice to just lock in a little bit and demand that it keeps going. Because I mean, it didn't go to break even, but this would be a lot of drawdown that I'd have to deal with. And it might not even go to these highs. This is good enough for tripping the bull. Like, the bull flag has been tripped. Because retail will start buying it above this pivot high, this one, and that one. So that's good enough to trip them in. It doesn't need to go to the high of it. The majority of retail is going to be buying at these lower ones, unless you're like brand new and have no clue what you're doing and you're just going to buy the high. But the majority of people will be getting in long above this. I got in long below the wedge, like at the lows where the smart money is getting in. And then I got out up here where the smart money is getting out. And everybody else got in up here where the smart money got out, and their stops are down here. So that's the difference with how I would trade this bull flag, because I think they're tripping this bull flag just to go back below it again. And so I just participated in that manipulation higher to mitigate some of my loss. So it should loosen up now that 10 o'clock is over. It really should. Um, I wish it would have taken the highs, because then it's less convoluted. It's more obvious, because the highs are still up here. They could come up and take them, but they could also be leaving those for next week. Because really, this is good enough to trip longs, and now they're running for their stops. See, if I hadn't taken that partial up here, I'd be out at break even for no profit. Hmm. whenever I was planning on trading this higher, I thought about placing a limit order at the consequence encroachment of this daily wick right below that low, because I thought that would make a lot of sense if they tipped this low and then reach for that. But it got 2 ticks away from that. So that would have been a third time this morning where I had an order placed almost too perfectly, and it just gets like 1 or 2 ticks away from it and then snaps in my direction. So I'm glad I didn't decide to do that and just I waited to see if this wick was going to come in. And then whenever I was confident that this was going to close with that wick, I got in before this candle closed. While this candle was still red, right in here, is when I decided to get in. Hasn't really loosened up much after 10. I mean, the 10 o'clock move was okay. Preferably, it would have taken the highs here, but it was fine. But now that it's come back down into the range, it's been, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 minutes it's been stuck here and hasn't left. So I really want to try to target those lower prices, but it just, I just don't know if it's going to continue doing this for the rest of the morning session. It's kind of annoying I'm not already in it short. I was going to get in short above this high, somewhere above this high, but it never went and took that high. It just kind of reversed here. Because I would feel pretty comfortable going to break even if I was already positioned up here. And then if it comes up and stops me out up here, then it's like, oh well, I'll just be done for the morning. But I don't know. I would just feel a lot better if I was in it up here like I was planning on. Because then if it decides to just run, I'm already positioned and I don't need to worry about trying to time an entry. So just tip this low. That's the 10 o'clock news low. Equal highs right here and above the market. Very annoying because ES has those equal lows, and that seems really obvious. And now that it's running, I'm not positioned, and there's really no good place to go ahead and get in. So it played out exactly as I said it would. Um, the only thing I was wrong about is that it didn't tip this high, and that's where I was planning to get in. But it wasn't until after I got stopped on my long for profit that I realized it doesn't need to take this high to trip in longs, that just taking out these internal highs is good enough to trip in retail going long, and then they just ran against them. Um, and look at the bodies here. It's reaching up for the high of the new day gap, and it's staying within the first presented right here. Then it displaced, closed below it. That should confirm it as a reclaimed bearish for value gap. Traded up into the lower half, and then ran lower. So honestly, that is pretty clean. It's just, before this happens, because of the context of all this choppiness, and then you see it kind of consolidating here, it kind of looks like more chop. But really, this is just accumulation before running lower. And because this is such a high premium, it doesn't need to take the highs. There's really nothing above here other than the internal liquidity that's being generated, obviously. But if this is the level smart money is accumulating shorts, they're not likely to run against themselves too much. Right? Because if their stops are somewhere up here and they're accumulating right here, they're not likely to run up against this high. They're likely to hold the high and accumulate up here inside this order block. Now, if there was a significant liquidity pool above these highs up here, then it would make sense for them to take these out and maybe target that one. But because this is high of week, and we've already taken a very significant liquidity pool right here, it does make sense that they would leave equal highs intact because that's where they are accumulating their positions. And it wouldn't make much sense for them to run against themselves very much, would it? So, so yeah, that's pretty good. I really wish I would have actually flipped short in here, but the equal highs just threw me off. If it had taken this, I would have flipped short pretty quickly up here, just assuming that that was going to be a Judas swing higher. But Judas swing just fell short a little bit. There's the equal lows in the S. ES trade. 10 o'clock. Ran these internal highs. And then went to that's a hourly wick. If I go to the hourly chart, that's the consequence encroachment of that hourly wick. So that's really clean from ES, honestly. Really, really clean. I'm just going to test something. Let's pretend I was short. Because I want to try to use this UI just because it seems like it would be a little more streamlined than having to go to my actual broker and do it from there whenever most of my analysis is here. Um, so let's pretend I'm short and I'm placing a stop, which would be buy one with stop, right? That would be the stop. Yeah, didn't want to accidentally like position myself. So let's pretend I'm in, and then that's my stop loss. Let's say I have two contracts. Can I just do this and that? Okay, that's nice. That's probably what I'll do then. That seems much better than like doing the dragging um, thing that they say you can do but doesn't actually work. Really unfortunate that I'm not positioned because I don't think it's going to offer much more uh, premium that it already has. Getting pretty close to these lows, so I would imagine it snaps through all of them. I should have at market open. Ah, it's so annoying. At market open, this sweep happened and it went lower, and I tried to short in here. I just didn't get filled because my entry was too perfect, and it just got like one or two ticks away and didn't fill me. Um, and then I got in on first presented, and that stopped because they went and took highs, which I wasn't expecting. And then after they took highs, I took a second entry here, which was honestly a pretty good entry. My stop placement was what was, I don't want to say bad, because I think the logic I used made sense, but really, that's not a bad entry for a short. They just ran this internal high one more time, and that probably stopped me by two ticks. So there's a lot of just, I don't know, like really, really small differences that kind of would have changed the morning a lot. Like if this stop had been just a couple points higher, like above the midpoint of this wick, if I had used that wick instead, I would be positioned and I'd be capturing this entire move lower. Um, and I even, after this moved lower, let's say I'm in short up here, like I originally planned. Um, actually, I maybe would have been stop break even on that, but still, that's like a drastic like swing in the P&L, right? This entry being a break even instead of a stop out. So that's just such a small little discrepancy that just changes the morning a lot. And the reason this happened was because 10 o'clock had that medium impact news, which I knew about. I mentioned it before the market opened. But then once the market opened, I just completely forgot about it up until right around here. Like around this time, I said, it's probably because the 10 o'clock news. So at market open, had I anticipated the 10 o'clock news having an impact like this before it comes out? Because really the 10 o'clock news isn't what's important. It's what's the market going to do before the 10 o'clock news? Um, 10 o'clock news did exactly what I expected it to do. It initially ran higher, tripping retail longs, and then ran against them. That's exactly what I said it would do, and that's what it did. But before 10 o'clock is just as important to consider, and it would make a lot of sense to run both sides of the market before 10 o'clock. And I just wasn't anticipating that because I literally wasn't thinking about it. There's so much to remember and consider because just all the things you need to think about when reading price action, that's like a lot. Now you have to remember, I mean, I have it written on a notepad in front of me and I forgot about it. Like I wasn't thinking about it at market open. I didn't start to think about it until right around 9:50, after 9:50, because it's coming up. That's when it kind of came back into my mind. But had I been thinking about it at 9:30 at market open, that could have changed my whole approach. I could have realistically expected them to run both sides. Um, and that would have changed my approach to entering the market. I could have made money during that time too, if I was anticipating that. I could have made money going short here and then getting out early, not expecting the ultimate lows that I'm shooting for because I'm expecting them to run both sides first. So I could have taken a scalp short and then I could have used first presented as an inversion for value gap to go take the highs. And then we get into this high resistance here right before 10 o'clock. And then I traded 10 o'clock really well. Um, I was a part of the smart money manipulation higher. And then I took profit up here. And then I could have flipped short again because now that we've tripped this bull flag and it's after 10 o'clock, now I can trust a significant move lower. So I could have flipped there and gone lower. So if I had just anticipated this kind of price action before 10 o'clock and had I been thinking about it, I could have like gone short, gone long, gone short, just like back and forth. And I think I can justify saying that because I called the 10 o'clock move so perfect. It did exactly what I said it would do. Um, the only thing I was like kind of wrong about was that it didn't take this high off that run. It just took these internal highs, but that's all it needs to do. It doesn't need to go take that high to trip in longs. And it's not going to offer a premium. This was the this was the premium that was offered to smart money. Now that it's running, they're not going to offer higher prices for retail to get in at a good price. They're just going to keep running it lower because this was the entry. But when it's up here, it's not as obvious. Once it is obvious, they're not going to allow a premium to be offered. It's just going to keep running for discounted prices and liquidity. So that's that first weekly retracement level met, that 20% retracement. Look at the reaction off that. This is a nice area to take profit right before these major sell side. So there's this one and then that one. And then the 30% retracement is just best case scenario if you were if you were already positioned with profit and you wanted to leave a runner. Um, but it's taken so much of the minor sell side and it reached that weekly retracement. That's a great place just to go ahead and get out and say good enough if you were positioned up here. Just for fun, I'm going to wait for the sell side to get taken and then I'm going to probably be done because that's pretty much it for the morning session. So I'm down $50, which is nothing. That's very, very small loss. Hmm. I'm really regretting not um, paying the 10 o'clock news more attention because I feel like I could have just absolutely traded this thing back and forth and then also captured this really big move down. I really think I could have if I was expecting this back and forth ahead of 10 o'clock. Little soup right before taking the lows. So what they're doing right now, they got really close to that sell side here. They're pretending that they're not going to take it. And whenever it kind of chops near it and then goes back up, I view that as retail would want to be buying a double bottom, like double bottom support, right? Um, and so whenever they do this, this is tripping in retail to go long off of double bottom support. But then they're just going to reverse it and go take their stops. So this is just this is generating more sell side than was already here. So they're going to come down for that. And I know they're going to come down for that because if they accumulated long or accumulated shorts up here, if they want to exit their position, they cannot exit their position up here because there isn't enough liquidity up here. There's some here at low of day. They probably took off some of their position here, but if they want to take off a large portion for profit, it has to be below these lows because that's where all the sell stops are located. So if they're short and they want to exit, they have to buy. And they're buying from sellers below these lows. So these are for sure going to get taken out. And them running it higher right before taking that low is just creating more sellers for them to buy from below that low. This is a really nice breaker. I'm going to get rid of some of the sell side. This is a nice breaker here. Just going to do the body. It's a large body. There. So it formed a low and then went and took the buy side. And now we've broken below it. So that's a breaker. Seems like this is not. This is why I said that's a really nice spot just to go ahead and get out for profit, because then you don't have to deal with the drawdown here, even though it likely will come down to here. If you're positioned up here at the premium, it's nice just to go ahead and get out right there, because that's good enough. That's a really, really nice move. So they soup ties right here, and now they're coming back down for the sell side right here. Get rid of these two. See how quickly they're running against that move higher. So it looks like, I didn't include the low of that wick, but it looks like it went to black. Looks like it touched the low of that breaker to the tick. Now I got like one tick away from it, so. Waiting patiently. New 15-minute candle just opened. This would be a good time to go ahead and run those lows. See this little bull flag they have going right here? And they left these equal lows right there. So there's a very large time frame, quote, double bottom support here that they're creating a sentiment for. And then they just did the same thing right here internally on the 1 minute chart. There's equal lows right here, double bottom support. And now they're tipping the bull flag. They're tipping the highs here of this bull flag. So retail's going to try to go long because they're trying to catch the bottom. But they're going to get stopped out. It would be nice to see if there's going to be a nice lunch macro. It'd be nice to see internal highs tipped, but then highs like this one and this one are left intact, and they form relative equal highs at those levels. Because then, as we move lower, around 11:30 lunch macro, we could see a retracement back up above those highs, those internal highs. just about 1050 macro, about 30 seconds. That would just be the perfect time to go ahead and take the sell side. So this high here is a 15-minute breakaway gap. So that's even more reason for it not to come up above that high. And if it does come above that high, it would be just by a little teensy bit, and then it should snap back down. But preferably, it doesn't go to that high at all. I really like these highs for a lunch macro, assuming that all these little stacked highs stay there. The longer it sits here in this range, the more sell side they're generating below the market, because retail will just be trying to accumulate longs collectively, because they want to buy a double bottom support and this little bullshit flag. So longer it meanders, the more sell side is below the market. And that's beneficial for smart money because they need to exit their short positions that they accumulated above the market. See how it's nice? I mean, the longer it sits here, the more when I said this is a nice place to go ahead and just take your profit. Because now you don't have to sit through this. This is stressful to sit through, even if you're confident in these lows. Uh, it got so close, and now it's doing all this. It's much easier just to get out right here, isn't it? Than having to sit through the drawdown and then this accumulation. Oh, what did they do? Tip these highs here. And now look at that, taking the sell side during 1050 macro. I like them to go ahead and run these lows so I can be done. This is really nice for the lunch macro, assuming it stays intact. That's really nice. They're really working this range. Really working it. Oh, there's the internal lows. So two things could happen here. Either it's tipping these lows to generate buy side above the market, or it's going to go ahead and run down to this. Because it would kind of be classic for them to tip these lows, then come straight back up for the buy orders that they just generated, and then come down to the sell side. That would be pretty typical. But the lunch macro would be a lot nicer if these were left intact and we just kind of started wilting lower below this. That would make the lunch macro real nice for these highs. Come on. And there it is. All right, so I called the morning session pretty perfect. The only thing I was wrong about was not anticipating them working both sides of the market ahead of the 10 o'clock news. After the 10 o'clock news released, I called it exactly how it happened. And I called these lows pre market. So it's pretty good. So I'm going to be done for now, probably done for the day, because I don't think I'll have time to trade the afternoon session. But this week has been pretty good. This has been a really challenging week for most people. I traded pretty well this week. Um, I wasn't able to capture this, which is unfortunate. It happened so quickly. I wasn't able to capture it. I needed to really be anticipating that because I did call this Monday or Tuesday. I said after the Thursday news, we should see a really nice run. Um, I feel like right now it's just hard for me to trust my own analysis. And so I can call things, but then not capitalize on it. That happens a lot. But the more I call stuff like that accurately, the more confident I'll be just to, the more likely I'll be able to capture stuff like that as it happens. And then this move down is really nice. Again, I said I was bearish up here, and then they ran all these bull flags out real nice. I was wrong in the lunch macro yesterday. Here, I tried taking a short at the midpoint of that daily wick, which was an extremely precise entry. It was really good. So I was able to go to break even pretty quick. But they ended up taking these equal highs, which is fine. That makes sense. I wasn't like shocked necessarily by that. Um, yeah, really a challenging week, but I traded it pretty well regardless of that. I called all this pretty good, so I'm happy with that.